First. I have to do some last one. That was talking, I think, Eric, thanks to Steve.
I walked in, I needed some progress.
Did you? Oh. Thank you.
All right, the time is now 6:17 p.m. on Thursday, December 19th. And I'll call to order our regularly scheduled Board of Directors meeting. And first order of business is roll call.
President Norman. Here. Vice President Smith.
Here.
Secretary Trapp.
Here.
Treasurer Trapp. I think he went on a call. We'll keep looking for him. Director Sparrow. I see him.
Here.
Thank you, sir.
All right, next up, we have Pledge of Allegiance, and I'd like to call on our volunteer coordinator, Richard, to lead us in that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Richard. All right, any changes to the agenda tonight?
No changes.
All right, hearing none, I'll move to consent agenda. We have our minutes from our November 21st, 2024 regular meeting. Anybody has any comments on those? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
During my notes, perfect as always.
All right, so we have a motion by Secretary Pratt.
Second.
And we have a second by Vice President Smith. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Consent agenda passes 4-0. Next up, we have our financial report, which item A is our December P&L.
Mr. President, you see the P&L in front of you. I do have an updated balance as of today of $6,828,196. That change is due to the fact, and I see Mr. Journey online. We did pay him back his money that First Federal so graciously loaned us for our gap. So that's the change. Hunter, can you help me on taxes to date?
It's a 7 million. I don't have it in front of me. 7,590,000.
We've done really well on our taxes to date, and so let me see. 7,590,524 is what we've collected so far. Our estimated is 9,044,000. So we've done really well to date. So I just wanted to update you on the cost of what's in our bank today, and that's the reason why it's keeping First Federal happy.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chief. Any questions on the P&L? Hearing none, we'll move to item B, which is our gap loan payoff.
Yep, so that just goes in line with what I said. We did just last week pay off the gap loan to First Federal. We appreciate their help and their partnership. We have already talked to them for potential for next year also, and they've been gracious to date. So we appreciate that. We did pay it off about 7 months early, just for everybody's edification. Saved us 100 and some thousand in additional interest that we could have incurred. So proud that we utilized it. It's a great help to us, but also we take it very seriously. As soon as we were comfortable with our balances, we worked with First Federal, paid it off.
Thank you. Any questions on gap loan payoff? Hearing none, I'll refer you to page 11 and 12 of your packet, and I want you to brief us on annual ambulance billing report.
Thank you, Mr. President. So you'll see two different forms. One is the year of 2023 from January to December 31st. The second one is 2024 to October. which is our last full billing cycle that we completed. So if you could just reference October of 23 and October of 24, just a couple highlights. The tickets that you see monthly, you see tickets. Tickets are our number of billable charts per month. And we were up about 45 in the month of October from the year previous. Those are just billable charts. Our charges were up about $136,000 also. That's the good news. The bad news is our disallowed, or the money, the Medicare, Medicaid that you see, you're going to see continue to go up. Because as we bill more, I know it sounds weird, as we bill more, we collect less. So we are on target right now for writing off about $10.5 million of the $14 million that we bill annually to Medicare and Medicaid predominantly. There are a very small amount of nuances in there. Chief Hannafin's going to talk to you a little bit later about GENT, but this is a nationwide problem. It's not a McMinnville problem. We scoured the AP Triton report to see what we could do differently, and we're doing a good job. We collect about 24%, which is about the average. And until something changes at the state and federal level, we're going to run a $14 million ambulance for $3.5 million. It's just, I just want to keep you guys on the forefront every chance I get it. I talk to county commissioners, I talk at the state level, I speak at the city level, just to let people know. I think there's a lot of people who don't understand what it costs us to run those ambulances. We subsidize those ambulances, which you all see in the AP Triton report. We subsidize those ambulances by the millions a year, predominantly due to Medicare Medicaid. It's a tough pill to swallow. So we're doing a really good job. Our billing is doing a really good job. Our billing company and collections are doing a really good job. Doesn't look like it when you're only collecting 24%, but they are. We're getting bills out the door. We're getting billed. We are still looking at other ways. We met with the company the other day that has a program that will look at like exactly when we should shoot the bill out, best chance to get the most amount of money. We're looking at stuff like that. AP Triton's report speaks of a few things, and we're doing all of them. So we're doing it. We're working hard, but something's got to change at that point. So I just wanted to keep it in your guys' purview to make sure.
Don't you have any questions for Chief on the ambulance report? Hearing none, I'll wrap up our financial report and take it to public comment. The Barlow citizens can make comments regarding district business, not to exceed 3 minutes per person. If you're on Zoom land and would like to speak, use the raise your hand function, and Hannah will unmute you. Anybody in the audience wish to speak public comment? Doesn't look like we have any comments, so close public comment, move on to our action items for this evening. First business action required would be review of budget committee appointments. Item A.
Thank you, Mr. President. By your board policy, it does state that the board will review budget committee appointees every December, and you will act on them by February. You do have a budget committee member that's up this year. It is Walter Budzik. We have made contact with him. He would like to continue. You do not have to act on this tonight. You do have till February by your board policy to act. But if you chose, you could, and I can tell you he is interested. You could act on that tonight. There's no other positions open. This is the only. Oh, expressed interest. No, we have not put it out. That is your prerogative. If you wanted to put it out, you absolutely could. We have not asked anybody, nor have we posted it. He is a current budget committee member that's interested. Absolutely.
We wait for the other budget committee members to report on how he is to work with.
Good ask them.
I guess from a policy standpoint would be, is there appetite on the board to just automatically go for reappointment if somebody wants their reappointment? Or somebody for the board and be discussed, or open up a process that we have an open window for any renewing position and everybody gets interviewed? That's more of a philosophical question of what route we prefer to go. I remember Walter's interview, and he was very well equipped to be a budget committee member.
Not question.
But it just,
No complaints or anything, there's the members.
I haven't spoken to other budget committee members about other members, and, you know, from my previous board experience, I think to have a strong budget committee, you gotta have people of varied perspectives, and so you might have people that don't get along with other people. I don't see Walter's personality leading to that, but I would disqualify a budget committee member simply because they might have another budget committee member that doesn't like their point of view.
I would agree, and I would just say, his qualifications and his commitment to the budget committee process is not in question for me. It's just a matter of what our process is, if we want one at all.
Yeah. So, couple options. Move forward, renewing his, this term, and we can spend the next calendar year, memorializing process or exploring process if we want. From what I heard, we need to have his term renewed by February 1.
Your meeting in February.
Meeting in February. So we could open the window and then look at applications between our January, February meeting, if you guys wanted to publicly notice the opening. Ask him to reapply. All districts and municipalities do it all always, so.
That's another question I have. It's not at all, I have no knowledge as to how he's doing or any of that. I know they're doing good, they do good work. The question is, do we want policy? I'd ask you what your experience with other government bodies on this process.
The city of McMinnville has taken the last 8 years to build a process, and we've, you know, navigated that and weaved through that over the last 8 years and made some changes to that. We didn't just memorialize that policy a week and a half ago. That said, there is also policy in the city charter that the mayor makes direct appointment with the Water and Light Commission. There's, I've seen other cities that just renew appointments, and then if somebody doesn't want to renew that makes the open seat. But I think long term, it would be best to have a policy that flushes out anybody in the community that has interest in serving. And you know, today I sat through 6 hours of committee interviews for our budget committee in the city and our airport commission, and we haven't landed on all those seats yet, but there's a very strong applicant pool, and there's always a chance somebody doesn't get reappointed. And then over my 8 years on council, I've definitely seen people not get reappointed because there was different perspectives that gave more diversity to that committee, and made the committee strong overall.
I'd suggest that we reappoint him and then spend the next year looking at our policy and how we want to, like you said, memorialize it and move forward in the future.
Either Sarah?
I'd be okay with that too, understanding there's nobody else that has expressed interest. And,
Not for much.
for budget committee, right? So, we have time, but I would have no problem supporting just reappointing him president. Sure. And then have a little service that engage in a process or identify.
Okay. Treasurer Track, are you okay with that direction?
I don't, oh yeah, yes.
Yes. Yes, I'm okay with that direction.
All right, thank you.
Sounds good.
All right, so, we need to make a vote on that, yeah? Is there a resolution in the packet? Oh. Okay, so I would entertain a motion to reappoint Walter Budzik to the 3-year term, 4-year term?
It's that would be 3 years. You just happen to be the one.
The first one.
Gotcha.
Reappoint Walter Budzik to a new 3-year term. For the McMinnville Fire District Budget Committee.
I make a motion that we reappoint Walter Budzik to a 3-year term for McMinnville Fire District.
I'd second that.
All right, so we have a motion by Vice President Smith and a second by Director Sparrow. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion passes 5-0. And will somebody reach out to Walter and let him know?
We have some.
Yeah, thought so. Thank you.
Yes, you are.
That takes us to item B, which is Bank Resolution 2024-05A. And Paul, chief to present.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, I do have David, on the line also, and he's going to speak to the resolution itself. This is one that came from special districts. I just want to point out one thing for you all. The resolution number of 2024-05A, it's an A because it's in relation to resolution that you passed already to move forward with this. So we wanted, since it's all on the 3050 property, we wanted to keep it in order so that it would full resolution stays in order. So with that said, David, would you like to fill us in?
Sure. Good evening, folks. Sorry, I was intending to plan to be there in person, but I just got back from a 2-week business trip and I came down with a cold, I think, from all the airplanes and airports I was going through. My cough has been bugging me. But anyway, good to see all of you. I will make it to a meeting in person one of these days. But yeah, so in front of you tonight is the authorizing resolution to incur a financing to acquire the real property that you folks are buying. Essentially, this is a parameters resolution that the board would adopt, authorizing to proceed with the financing in that regard, and then delegating an authorized representative of the district to basically finish out everything that's necessary with regards to the financing. Right now, the authorized representative is designated as the president or the fire chief. From there, there's certain sections in here regarding the security for the financing, which is basically the district's promise to pay the obligation back. There is no security interest being provided with the financing, so it's essentially unsecured. Again, the district's pledging any and all of its available revenues to repay the financing. Then there's sections in there regarding the tax exempt status of the financing. This is federal tax law matters, so we can by local governments under the present tax code, federal tax code, they can borrow what we call tax exempt rates. And so the interest you pay back on the financing is exempt from taxation, not only on a federal level, but a state level. And so it allows the interest rate to be lower, but you have certain conditions and covenants that you must comply with under the Internal Revenue Code. Excuse me. Section 6 of the resolution basically spells, authorizes the authorized representative to finish out the terms and structure of the financing, which essentially we have in place right now. And I can discuss those final terms with you in that regard and where we are at with the financing. Section 7 basically appoints, Oric Harrington as the municipal finance attorney, SDAO, myself as the municipal advisor to the district. Section 8 then deals with, this is constitute a contract under Oregon law and also some federal contract protections. And that's essentially it on the resolution. I did notice we may have to change a few things, but it's not material to the resolution itself. But it's identified as a 2024 Series B, which we probably will not close this financing until January. So that will be the numerical change would be a 2025 series. But again, shouldn't require any change, just a clarification in the final documentation when we get to that point. So that's the resolution, basically, authorizing the financing and proceeding with getting the funding and finalizing the terms and then get it closed, and then you can go acquire a piece of real estate out by the airport.
Any questions for Mr. Albright?
No, except to say thank you for the loan.
Yeah, so then I get after if you take action on the resolution, I can talk about where we're at in the process right now.
Mr. President, if I can make a suggestion, the motion, in light of the fact that the resolution will need at least one change, I would recommend that if the board would like to do passage of the resolution, that the language be that the resolution is approved in a form substantially similar to what's in the packet. That will allow us to make the change that David is recommending.
Okay. Any other questions? Director Sparrow, any questions?
No questions.
That I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 2024-5A with any substantial changes as presented.
Substantially similar.
Substantially similar changes as presented. Motion by Secretary Pratt. Second by Vice President Smith. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I have one point of clarification quick. Did we have to name what would be the president or fire chief? Did you want to call that out? I think
At least both of you,
so either can do it.
yes.
Yeah, I think if we wanted to pivot on that, like you wanted to go.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
this is David. I couldn't quite hear you and the president talking, but if you're talking about the authorized representative, in that resolution, it's page 1, the fourth whereas, where it directs and authorizes the president or fire chief.
Thank you.
If that's what you were referring to.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion on the table by Secretary Pratt and a second by Vice President Smith. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Director Sparrow, we couldn't hear you.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, David, do you have some other stuff you want to share on that?
Yeah, I thought I'd just kind of go through where we're at in the process. You know, we've been working with the district on this real estate acquisition, and working with, various folks and other, lenders, so to speak, that would be providing financing. And we had one term sheet that was presented from the Commerce Bank of Oregon. And then subsequently, we visited with First Federal Savings and Loan. And Tony's on the, uh, looks like the call as well from First Federal. So in evaluating the two term sheets, it would be my recommendation to proceed with First Federal, given that they have provided very favorable terms, a fixed rate that is lower than the other bank, but just about 5 basis points or whatever. So First Federal was at 4.9 fixed for 20 years. Um, Hopefully you could still hear me. It looks like my camera's frozen.
We can hear.
And then and Zion's Bank's rate was higher. The Most of the other terms and conditions were very similar. Neither institution had any other further costs other than fee. They did not have any outside bank counsel fees. So, based on that, I would recommend proceeding with First Federal, with their financing offer, which again, I think is very competitive, very flexible. They also provided, the provision where you can pay off at any time in whole or in part upon 30 days notice. So if you have extra funds and you want to repay the debt, you could do so without a penalty or premium. And so that's kind of where we're at on that. With regards to closing and funding, I've recommended that because we're running in the holiday time now, that we look to close the financing part of the transaction around the 14th of January. The district would have its funds, then it can coordinate the side of the transaction, um, and then provide the funds to the title company and such. And um, before, I think there's a deadline by the end of January, I believe. So that's my additional information, and that would be my recommendation. Was quite impressed with how First Federal came around real quick, knowing the timing that we had to present their offer to provide financing to the district.
Thank you, Mr. Albright. My first question would just be if there was any ability to move that up at all from the 14th of January to more like the first full week of January.
We probably could. I need to check with the finance attorney to see where they're at regarding scheduling. If we do that, I would say it'd probably be more like the 8th of January, just a few days up before. So I think I will follow up with the chief to see if we can do that. And I will also follow up with the bank to see if they're also comfortable with making that change to close earlier than the 14th. One other thing, I did follow up with the Commerce Bank of Oregon on their offer, and they said they were disappointed, but they couldn't match what First Federal was doing. So
Would you expect the reduction in interest rates the next couple of weeks with the recent reduction at the Fed level?
I think the rate was established. I mean, banks, I don't know if we're gonna be able to set it because their term sheet's good for like 30 days. And when they provide that firm commitment, that rate's pretty much set. Happy to go back and ask. But generally those pricings, when they do that with the Fed, even though the Fed lower their rate, a lot of times pricing has already been factored into that, that the anticipation rates are gonna lower. But happy to look into it, ask the question, and see where we can wind up.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief or Mr. Albright? Hearing none, are you looking for a motion or?
I'm not necessarily looking for a motion, other than we basically, you've adopted the authorizing resolution to proceed. And then it's just a matter of how the board would like to proceed. Say, we got these two offers. My recommendation would be to go to First Federal. And then from there, I guess folks can deliberate if you have any other questions. And just say, yes, go to First Federal, or however you'd like me to proceed.
It is my recommendation also to utilize First Federal. We work with them daily on not just our loans, but on our daily banking. It's extremely smooth. Tony and his staff have been very receptive, very quick to respond, bent over backwards for us. So the other offer was a great offer also, but my preference for both staff time as well as security of being able to go over there and ask questions or get help with things. They've been very receptive and very good. So it would be my recommendations.
I would concur with Mr. Albright and Chief Godfrey on that. We had challenges with getting credit cards initially, and First Federal went out on a limb for that. Helped us out with that. They funded our gap loan at a very competitive rate. They gave us a 20-year fixed term on this versus a 10 and a 10 variable with still no early payoff penalty. And then at the end of the day, this is really about relationships, and they provided that relationship, and we should honor that relationship, in my opinion.
I also agree.
Any comments or preference, Director Sparrow, on First Federal or the bank out east? We didn't get anything from you, Director Sparrow. We saw your mic and mute, but nothing came through.
No additional comments here.
Okay, thank you. It looks like we lost our finance guru, David Albright, but Chief can pass along that First Federal. And Tony, thank you for joining us this evening. If you'd like to make any comment, I'm happy to entertain anything.
I'm good. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you. That'll bring us to item C, resolution 2024-06 for the transfer of funds for building purchase, contractual obligation, and loan payments out of our contingency.
So thank you, Mr. President. So this lays it out, what we're asking for and why. And I'll just kind of go through it, but I'll answer any questions. The 100,000 is the loan interest only payment, which is due June 2025. That would be our first payment for this 3850 loan. Closing costs of $3,300. And then our moving costs, which you all saw previously, equals the $209,500, which is both annual, 6 months worth of operating costs as well as that total amount of $312,800, that would be moving it from general fund contingency, which is required because that's we don't have authority for that. We need you to move it into the general fund administration of that $312,800, allow us to utilize that money. It's basically increasing the budget because contingency is. So there's questions about that part of it.
Any questions on part 1 of resolution 2024-06? Hearing none, let's move on to part 2.
Part two is the transfer of funds for the collective bargaining agreement and the non-representative staff adjustments. The union collective bargaining agreement, and this is, so I'm clear, this has not been ratified. This will not, does not take place until the contract is officially ratified by local 3099 as well as this fire board. But the transfer would be for the $512,200 for the first year of the contract, $17,500 for staff wages, for a total of $529,700. It does need to go into these specific divisional lines so that they can get expended to the appropriate people. And we wrote that out for you by division.
All right, give you guys a moment. Entertain any questions for Chief on phase two. Hearing none, we'll move on to part three of resolution 2024-06.
Thank you, Mr. President. The part three is just a housekeeping. We had budgeted 4.6 million for the loan payoff, in which we have completed. However, in that budget line item was 4.6 million. So we asked that we move the remaining and give the authority for the remaining $28,200, which that's the total loan payout with interest. Interest was just not perfectly calculated, but budgeted appropriated just 28,000 over it.
Is that the total interest for that loan, or that's just the?
No, the total interest is
128,000. So we budgeted.
We did
100,000.
4.1 and we need 4.128. Yeah, 4.6, I'm sorry, 4.6, yes, we need 4.6. And just to put it in perspective, for you all, and this was, our goal is to keep $1 million in contingency every year. The monies that we had in contingency were, we did believe were going to be used for the contract. Of course, we didn't know we were going to buy a fire station, but just to put it in perspective, that will still leave us at $869,584, even if you transfer the full amount. 869,584.
Alrighty. Any questions regarding part three, or I'd also entertain any questions of the whole resolution for your interest? Hearing none, I entertain a motion for resolution 2024-06 as presented.
For resolution 2024-06.
All right, we have a motion by Vice President Smith. Second by Secretary Pratt. Thank you, gentlemen. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you, Director Sparrow. Resolution 2024-06 passing unanimously 4-0. And that takes us to other business, the board committee and liaison report. Treasurer Trapp is not here, but do you have any low staff, anything you want to share?
Thank you, Mr. President. I did, Treasurer Trapp and I did chat a little bit in the last couple of weeks. He as well as Captain Goodman and a couple of other volunteers did review the annual points for the LoSAP plan and found no errors or issues or concerns. So those will be turned over to Bob Fettler here probably in a few weeks once they're ready for them. And that's the only other thing. He received the last 4 months of statements. There was a little lag in them, but we produced those to him this week, Monday or Tuesday of this week. And it's staying consistent where the withdrawals are a little bit less than the interest earned every single month. The withdrawals being the payouts to the retirees. I don't remember the exact number. It's about $450, $500 a month pulling out of the plan, more than the interest is making right now. But there's the annual catch up and the annual payment and so forth. So, in line with what it has been for the last several months.
Any questions for Chief Law? Hearing none, I don't think it's too.
The only thing I would say on the catch up was our account did have a transition with administration, and that was the delay, was due to a new representative on our account. Just getting her feet underneath her and getting our statements out to us. So when we asked, she provided. So just want to let you know why there was a delay. It wasn't just there was a transition on there, and then yeah.
Thank you for the clarification. Any other questions on LoSAP? Hearing none, we'll move to branding. We got Chief Darby here and Director Sparrow.
Thank you, Mr. President. Quick branding update. We did, as you guys, I mentioned in, I think, the October meeting, we did shop around for a new vendor for the remarking of some of our apparatus. We did find a new vendor. We should have the last ambulance remarked as of tomorrow afternoon. And then next focus will be the new engine 1, fixing a small little thing on engine 1 and the new engine 14. Then we're going to transition to some of the staffed vehicles and some of the heavy assets will get rear roll-up door markings as well. So new vendors, happy to be on board. They've been very cooperative, super accommodating for us. And they actually did all 3 of the ambulances in 1 week, which is fantastic. It took a little longer for the first year. So the branding committee did meet on December 4th. And our next bigger transitional project is we're going to focus on the badges. So a lot of creativity, a lot of ideas swirling around out there. And I think we're going to come up with some good concepts to present to the fire chief here, hopefully maybe about 45, 60 days or so. And then we're also working on challenge point. So, and that's all I have, and happy to entertain any questions.
Please, looking great. Thank you. All right, that'll take us to board information report. Anybody have any information to share?
I was able to visit briefly during the burn alarm on Adams. I want to share, I was really impressed and happy to see the training happening at that level. What I understand was everybody was there.
I think we had 1 sickie.
Yeah. Okay. But yes, but to have almost everybody there at that type of training was impressive. I know it's been a goal of yours and ours to get that kind of training. That was great. I appreciate Dave's auto for donating the property.
Yeah, I concur with that. I've seen quite a couple times. Nice to see all of our paid staff out there getting in trained and while still maintaining coverage in the city too, I might add. So I think that's important as well, that we don't leave our citizens without, but it was very nice to see something be done that has been done in a very long time. So thank you to everybody that made that happen. That'll take us to informational items. First up, we have local 3099 and President Scott here would like to speak on anything.
We don't have anything tonight, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have volunteer President Pete Goodman. You gotta speak as loud as the union president.
He was quick. Good to see you guys tonight. Volunteers, let's see, since last month, we've done just one big event, and that was the Christmas parade where we showed Santa the downtown venue. And that had pretty good turnout. Our next big event is coming up Monday, and that's when we deliver all these boxes in here to some families in town. I'd like to thank Fire and Life Safety member Nancy Law. She collects all these, and with her friends and groups that come and help. They all wrap easy, get these in order for us to deliver. And then January 5th, all the decorations in town get picked up. Volunteers, Mass Water and Light, and Xfinity. So that's all we. That's all I got.
You also provided popcorn to First Federal's
Oh,
movie
yeah,
night.
yes, First Federal had a movie night. We provided popcorn. And Chief got, he helped out with that Chief walk, the Chief walk. And I think that's all I got.
Thank you.
How's your bumper wagon working still?
It was great. Well,
And then,
yeah. I'll look forward to that.
All right, next up we have fire chief's report. First up is AP Triton review.
So we did receive about 2 weeks ago, we received the final draft from AP Triton. My staff reviewed it in a very fast time frame. I think we turned it around back to them in 4 days. So thanks to all the staff that did that. In reviewing the report, there's some things that I agree with and some things that I don't. But it's a great roadmap for us to move forward, to look at the future. We did make some corrections, or at least suggested corrections. We'll see. And then after that, they have till the end of this month to provide the final copy to us. That will then be circulated for everybody. And they will, actually, I'll ask you a question. They can come in person or they can present the final draft to the board via Zoom, my recommendation. But either one, they're happy to. So the next step will be the standard of cover document. Once we get this completed, once we get the purchase completed of the building, my goal next would be to tackle future plan.
Any questions for Chief around AP Triton? I just have a point of clarity, so we won't see it before it gets final presentation.
You will get it. I will receive it, a final draft with our corrections that we recommended. Probably, I believe they said it was the 26th of December, I believe, and you will get it. And you'll have it for January, the 4th Thursday of January.
And then when do they need to know if we want them in person or not?
Probably sooner than later, just because I'm sure they have to vote.
It'll be the 23rd of January. You guys want to make a point on that right now, or do you want to wait till you see the document and see how many questions you have if you want to go person or not?
If you have time, sure. Wait till we have a document.
So within a week of getting the final document, we'll make decisions. Yeah, poll by Administrative Director Michelle. Any polls on that?
Yes, thank you.
So there's no serial meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't respond to that, I guess majority rule.
Good. Yeah.
That sound good, Director Sparrow?
I missed what you said at the very end there. Something about majority.
Oh, just if Michelle sends out a poll on if you want them on Zoom or in person after we've had that report for a week, she's gonna send that poll out. We just need to get an answer. So if somebody wasn't to respond to that, we would just go with whatever the majority was.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, no problem.
Back up for a minute. Do you have a preference or recommendation on, because I know it takes up staff to manage the visitors from out of town and all of that, is that?
It is, and I think that from our previous encounters and the feedback that I've got, I would recommend the Zoom version. I don't personally believe that there's anything in the document that either A, couldn't be discussed with Zoom, or B, I could. There was some positive and there was some negative feedback. My recommendation, but I have to have it here. That's the most true.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. The item 2, Station 15 update.
I think we've pretty much heard quite a bit of it. Thank you to the board. I don't see First Fed on, but I did want to call them out also. You know, this has been a ton of work for staff. I mean, I personally believe, and I said this earlier today to someone, of course something's going to slap me in the face as soon as I come around the corner, right? But I can tell you it won't be without trying. And staff, all staff, every staff member that we have has had a part of looking something up or looking into something or writing a document or getting a bid or walking through the facility and asking questions. I've brought the volunteers on a drill night out that wanted to go. I've taken staff out. All 3 shifts have gone out. And we have had probably no less than 3 or 4 people out there almost every day, if not every day. We took this very seriously. This is a very big decision for the district, the citizens of McMinnville, but also for the board. We very much appreciate your support. I hope you know the work that we put into it. We did not just recommend the building. We dug and dug deep. And so I'm proud of the staff for that, with their workload that they have, and the time commitments that they have for many other things, from investigating fires to hiring personnel to policies and procedures to burn alerts. Staff is very busy, and this was a very big undertaking. And I just wanted to say publicly that I was proud of the staff. I appreciate the board's support, but I was proud of the staff.
I'll just say you should be proud. You guys have done a great job. It's been an exceptionally busy year. So many accomplishments, can't even list them all, really. But a tremendous amount of work by you and your staff to get so many things done, all of it to benefit the community and the service we provide. So thank you to you and your staff.
Yeah, I would definitely share the sentiment, and you know, some people could look at the work that you guys have accomplished and wonder how you didn't burn out, but I think you don't burn out when there's passion involved and there's personal fulfillment in the work that you're getting done. So that shines through in all your guys' work, and thank you for digging in and leading into, you know, what was a 5+ year effort to get us the opportunity to do what you guys have accomplished in the last year and a half. I think that's item number 3, the AFG grant.
We talked about this last meeting. AFG grant was submitted. We did hire a grant company just to review our documentation. They did have some technical, I don't think, no. Not a lot of the content changed, but but several of the small things that we didn't know about. Their professional historical perspective was helpful. And because they're moving to a new radio system, they're actually new radios, because we're not replacing 800 megahertz radios where we think radios are being replaced. So I say, well, it's replacement radios. And new radios are higher than replacement radios, but because we don't have 800 portables. So there was just a lot of little things like that that I think will help us. It was submitted successfully today. So we're going to wait to see what comes of that. All the money is allocated by year.
Thank you. Any questions on that? And now we got item 4, Assistant Fire Defense Board Chief.
Thank you. During the last Fire Defense Board meeting was nominations and appointments of the fire defense positions or board. I was nominated and voted as the Assistant Fire Defense Board Chief. Chief Law was nominated and accepted and was voted in as the secretary, is that correct? He is currently holding that position, has held that position. He is very well respected in that position. And I think they would have had a heart attack had he not volunteered to do it again. So Chief Hannafin works hard on that committee also as our rep to OFCA, as well as county SOGs. And Chief Darby is the lead in the Yamhill County fire investigation. So, and then Jenny helps with the treasury part of it that we accept all that mail and get it to the right people. So I just wanted to let you all know that McMinnville is well represented in the Fire Defense Board. And Chief Law and Chief Hannafin have both sat on it for a long time. They've done a great job. And they were asked to do it again.
Thank you for everybody involved. Next up, I have 5 new engine update.
Great update. So since our last meeting, we found it in inspection, so that was good. When we were down at HFE, the roof of the engine has to be replaced, I think. It's a warranty issue, but the cool thing is it's not an HFE warranty issue, it's a Freightliner warranty issue, which is in Washington, Richfield. They told us if you get it up here today, which was the next day, we have a spot for you, we'll put it in the shop. So they did. And it hasn't done a single thing in 2 weeks because they're still waiting on warranty approval. So it's still sitting in Richfield, Washington. I found that out at 4 o'clock today. I will be making a phone call tomorrow to express my thoughts on that, which won't be super positive. But it is a known issue in the Freightliner rigs. In fact, I think the shop steward or shop foreman's statement was, we're very good at this. Once we get the approval, it'll just take us 2 days. And that's to remove the whole roof, put a new roof on, buff it, seal it, do the whole 9 yards. So I am also going to talk to HFE tomorrow because I don't think that rig should have been accepted at Pierce. I think that should have been rejected at Pierce just because to put a customer through that. When they've already put light bars on it and all that thing that was done at Pierce, I think puts us all in a distaste. And so I think
one engine or both?
Just one. And I even confirmed that with Brad today. And he's like, I even doubted myself. I climbed back up there today to make sure there is no issue. We don't even see wows. Supposedly it was a batch that came through. That part is a robot process, if you will. And I don't know if the robot was missing 3 or 4 bolts of the spring or what, but it was cockeyed. And I mean, like it looks like we rolled the engine. So that's unfortunate. Crews were really, I mean, I think we would have had that searched 2 weeks. Pretty unfortunate, but it is what it is. So we'll work on this.
All right, I have 6, fire and life safety in school.
I'll let Chief Darby answer or say anything if there's anything that's changed, but the school district reached out to us and asked if we were willing to participate in reinvigorating the fire district and the schools programs that we've had for many years. It's kind of gone away for many years, but we did accept that. But I do want to make sure I'm clear. It's not that we don't do it. Chief Darby and his staff do it, but it's on a single like principal basis. Like you got the principal that's like in front, and that person gets it every year. The other 5 schools, not so much. So we are doing it in a joint effort this year with Chief Darby and his staff. I will also participate. It will include the Fire and Life Safety House. It will include some lecturing for the little kids. It'll include Sparky. So pretty excited that they were willing to reach out to us and ask us for that. And in turn, we're going to work with them to accommodate, get back in all the schools. Actually this year, February through April.
February.
So So we've already got some dates back from them, Chief Joe. So that's pretty exciting to me. I graduated from school here, and I remember that was 5 or 10 years ago that I was in grade school. I actually still do. So.
Next up, we got county ARPA grant.
I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank Marion County very much. No, I wanted to publicly thank Marion County too. Spent a lot of years there, but I would also like to thank Yamhill County. Yamhill County, as you all know, we purchased from Garmin Auto a pickup truck to tow our, speaking of fire and life safety, our fire and life safety trailer. We applied for a grant. The county had some ARPA funds left over. Actually, President Godfrey had heard that they were maybe looking for some grant opportunities. We applied and were awarded $10,000, which is actually more than half of the vehicle's cost. So I just wanted to say thank you to them. It is a county asset. We have loaned it to other districts. Amity used it just this last Fire and Life Safety Week. We had it at the Yamhill County Fair. And we will continue to do that. Thanks to Garmin Auto for waiting. That took a long time. I think 2 DMV reports two different DMV reports to get it fixed because we had to wait for the county to approve the funds and then contract with us to get the funds. But that has all been taken care of. But it was really appreciated because it was more than half the cost of the pickup. So we will be looking at opportunities to get that outside of McMinnville also to help other communities.
All right, thanks for that, Chief. Next up, speaking of outside McMinnville, is the Amity IGA.
Yes, we have completed the IGA with Amity. This is for just a reminder to the board. This is to put the day car that most of you know is Medic 15. It will be called Medic 5. Out in Amity, it will be switching January 1st. Correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, but Tuesday through Friday.
January 7th.
January 7th. Thank you. What time?
It'll be 7 to 5.
7 to 5. Worked with Chief Yoakum out there. He ran it by his board. It's a much different agreement than what we've had in the past. It's really the ambulance is still managed. It's still responsive to battalion chief and ops chief McMinnville. But it gives us an opportunity to get farther out and help our response times in our ASA. The Amity Fire District has welcomed us with open arms. There appears no cost either direction. It's truly a partnership agreement. They're providing us base space. They provided us an office space, internet. We are providing computers. They've provided us space in their EMS supply room and a place to park our vehicle and plug it in. They will start their day there and end their day there. They will still take the first transfer of the day out of the hospital. And they will come to McMinnville or anywhere for that matter at the discretion of the battalion chief. It's been a great partnership. It's been super easy. They've been super open. Chief Slavens will be managing the crews out there. And he's already kind of started, getting stuff ready out there for that transition. It's just another opportunity. I think Vice President Smith, like you were saying, we've bit off a lot this last year, but this is just one more thing to really kind of help us broaden our response ability outside of just downtown McMinnville. Of course, Station 15 will help us with that also. We're still currently looking for other opportunities, whether it be other fire departments or districts, or whether it be properties west side. We're still working. And we do have a couple. We are in discussions with a couple different potentials on that. So I just want to say thanks to Amity Fire District and their board and their fire chief and their staff. And we'll monitor it. We'll change as it ebbs and flows. Something isn't working or something's going well. We do have the ability to get out of the contract at any time, as do they, with proper notice. And there's no cost, like I said, to their side. So it's truly a partnership.
Can you clarify what they'll be doing? Just EMS, domestic fire?
They're only single roles. That is only an ambulance response. Of course, if Chief Yoakum needed them or wanted them to do a helpful club ed or something at school, and an on-duty battalion chief approved that, we would absolutely be
Training, I'm sure.
training, helpful, that type of thing. But no, it's strictly EMS 911 response. Of course, they would respond to a fire as their medical standby if and when requested, but it would be for medical purposes.
And then that's another point of clarity is with it having no cost, is that just an administrative IGA that between you and Chief Yoakum, or is their board taking action on that?
Their board is not taking action. It's fire chief.
Thank you. Any other questions on item 8? Hearing none, we'll move to item 9, the Sheridan agreement.
And this is just an agreement, and I believe you all know, I think we've talked about it a couple times, but we did donate the old engine 15 to Sheridan Fire District. They were in need of a second out engine. We had it 2 different times posted on Gov Deals, and didn't get, well, we got little to no response. Sheridan was in need of one, and we felt again, in the scheme of partnerships, heck, we might need to borrow it someday, and mutual aid purposes. It was better that it stayed in our county and quite frankly, a neighboring jurisdiction than Biloxi, Mississippi or something. So we did donate that. We did provide them with the kind of holds harmless type of agreement, and as is, if you will. So that has been delivered. That's all I have unless there's questions.
Any questions regarding the fire chief's report, item 1 through 9? Hearing none, we'll move on to correspondence. I believe everyone on the board got a email invitation to go visit with Congresswoman Salinas at her annual local elected officials open house last Friday, the 13th. I don't know if any of us made it. I personally wasn't available, but she is a supporter of the district. She endorsed the district consolidation efforts, and she's also a advocate for us at the federal level when the time comes. She's made that pledge to be person. So, if you get the chance at her next event, be sure to stop by and say hi. Informational items, upcoming board elections. I know we think briefly put them on the last meeting, and we'll call on Chief or Michelle.
Michelle has some info for you.
Sure. Special district elections are held in March of odd years. And the county will publish notice of the election on February 8th.
They're held in May, but you have to.
I'm sorry, yep, held in May, that's correct. Sorry about that, thank you. The county elections official publishes the notice of board election in February. Candidates can file there's a form designated by the elections division that candidates can file with the county clerk. That is due by March 20th. And there is a $10 filing fee. The date to submit a statement for inclusion in the voters pamphlet is March 24th. And I don't think Yamhill County publishes the voters pamphlet. So anyone interested in filing as a candidate would want to find out if they have a deadline to get it onto their website, that sort of thing. The other option, if a candidate does not want to or prefers not to pay the filing fee, they can gather signatures. And the key to remember there is that the candidate would want to turn in the signatures with enough time for those to be verified. So turning them on the deadline is not gonna work. They'll need some time to verify those signatures. Now, what some candidates do is pay the fee and turn in the signatures. And county clerks will try to verify the signatures and return the fee if they're able to verify that something they're not. So, notice of the election, February 8th, published by the county clerk. Candidates file their form with the county clerk on March 20th. And remember, March 24th might be the day to be included on their website. Last day to withdraw is March 20th, which is also the last day to file. So that's just some information for anyone interested in doing that. The number of required signatures are the lesser of either 25 or 10% of the total number of active registered voters in the district. So that would be 25 here.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, we're bringing this up just to keep everybody informed. We do have two board members, I believe it's Mr. Pratt and Mr. Sparrow, that are up this year. So anything we can do or anything, if you have any questions, if you were going to run again, we're happy to just answer.
Any questions around election deadlines and make sure you're eligible for the ballot? If you so choose. Hearing none, we'll move on to item 2. The board award.
I can speak to that. Mentioned at our last meeting, the idea of the concept being that the fire board would have an annual award given at the fire district awards ceremony annually. And I think it's a board decision if we want to do this. We agreed to table it until this month. I said I do some research on what it would take to get the award, and it comes in at about $250. To get what I would think would be a nice award for a good presentation. Again, the concept would be the board would award somebody or some group annually that contributed to the fire district. Could be someone internally or maybe somebody in the community, recognizing their commitment to the fire district or helping us advance our mission, our vision, or our values.
Sounds good. Open that up for discussion. Director Sparrow, you have any comments on board award? Annual board award?
Nope, just fully support this and I think it's a great idea.
And budgetarily, you're fine with the kind of $250 budget for that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So this would be an award we give to them, they keep it, so someone just write their name on.
But my vision would be that we would have an award that we would give them, present them, that they could take it home with them. They could get another similar award the next year.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sounds good. You guys wanna kind of keep that open-ended, or do you wanna have a process for like how we're gonna arrive at that? I mean, there's more than 2 of us, so it would need to take place in a public meeting. Want to kind of have that competition.
Yeah, I'd be open to whatever we think is reasonable and transparent, but not sure what the process would be. We have some nomination, we decide as a board if we want to move forward. Does that have to be a public meeting? I don't know.
Yeah. Are you guys looking for just that we're gonna do an award, or do you want to land on everything tonight?
Nope, you don't need to land on everything. I just need to know 2 things. 1, did you want an award? Because we'll add it to the agenda. And then 2, do you want it to have anything to do, do you want us to call it, we're updating the policy right now. Would you like us to add board award in the policy? We could just state board award and literally just say that presented by the board. Or we could spell out how you guys wanted to do it as far as if you rotate it 2 every year, that's what we do. The fire chief, the way it's written for us, the fire chief chooses, screw this up, but a lieutenant, a staff, a previous year recipient, and that's the committee. So we could write something like that for you if you wanted. But if you just wanted to keep it all in-house, that's totally fine too. I was just looking for direction of what you wanted written in policy. Or if you even wanted it.
If at all, it would probably be nothing more needed than just, board report, annual board report.
Hang on the process a little bit, and then by January, we kind of nail that down. I mean, I would probably try and find a process where nominations could be emailed to Michelle or Chief, and then 2 individuals could be who picks from those nominations, so we don't have to discuss nominations in a public meeting.
I can work with Michelle on an appropriate process.
She says she's wrong.
So, but I'm open, it's board award, not a process, so whatever you guys want to do, I'm game for it. I just want to be able to recognize and acknowledge people that move the organization forward.
Perfect. And with that, I can work with Michelle, again, on a process that is.
Sounds good. Thank you. Next up, we have item 3, our Northwest Environmental Report.
Well, if you guys were bored, you read all 300 pages. At the end of 300 pages, this is more informational for you all, unless you have a burning desire. For those of you who don't know, there was a gas station corner of like where I parked my car. And there are 4 underground fuel tanks that were there. They are been removed. Unfortunately, that's all I'll say. Unfortunately, the process was not completed when they were removed. So DEQ reached out to the city about 2 years ago and said, hey, we need this DEQ information. And I got it a little bit after I first got hired here. The city has taken care so far of the costs for the evaluation. 3 of the tanks are totally fine. No oils, no waters, no vapors, such. There's a 4th tank that is fine, but it does have a slight amount of vapor. They have a recommendation. It's not a requirement, but a recommendation. We don't build a house there. Their recommendation is that we would add that to our title as for the future if something was to happen, we would build a house there. We do not have to do that. I'm not really asking for that information. But I wanted you guys to know about it in case you wanted to discuss it in the future. But the report came back very good. In fact, it was very positive report. That's their only recommendation. It's one of those things where you have to recommend. But this is not zone residential. However, this block, part of it was at one time zone residential. But as I understand it, as those residents, they are still occupied residents now are fine, but as they leave, it would go non-residential. So the odds of that are not very good, but you never know what happens. So I just wanted you to know about it. If you have a desire to discuss it or you have an opinion on it, I'd have to talk about it. I don't think there's needs to be action this time unless you so choose. But the report was very positive, and we're just going to review it one more time before we reply back to the city.
It doesn't affect our residential zoning as far as fire station here.
Nothing to do. Nope, not at all. Really, literally, it says that we can't build a house over the top of tanks, which is it.
Surprised we didn't find those tanks when I built the station back in '86.
We did.
We did.
And they remediated them, but they didn't fill out.
Okay, so 2008, dates on this thing.
They just didn't fill out the paperwork that properly stated they were remediated, so because that paperwork wasn't done, they had to be testing for the remediation.
That's pretty common for that era of remediation. You see the old Dave Shells going through that, they had all theirs done, but they didn't have the final signature. The old Mac concrete plant by Lum's, same thing. So if you don't get the final signature and somebody loses the paperwork, or somebody passes away, you get to start over with the drill crew, and that's what happened here.
But all in all, it's positive.
Everybody good to move forward on that one? All right, next up we have GEMT funding update. Chief Hanson.
Yeah, thank you. So part of my work with the Oregon Fire Chiefs Association, we've been addressing EMS funding gaps, and one arm of that has been attention given to GEMT. The fire service as a whole has seen some challenges with GEMT programs, which are run and overseen by OHA here in Oregon. So we had created a work group within the last 9 months, have been working towards some efforts of trying to collaborate with OHA. Here within the last few weeks, we found out about some actions that they had taken. They submitted a state plan amendment to CMS, which changed the structure of the fee-for-service portion of GMT. So we have CCO portion, fee-for-service portion, and McMinnville Fire participates in both of those programs. Fee-for-service had been a cost recovery type model where we would submit all of our costs, direct and indirect, and then they would essentially pay us back an amount that helps to bridge the gap between what the Medicaid base allowance is and what our actual cost of the transport would be. They have since submitted that SPA and changed the program to where it will be a flat fee type of program. The initial rate that they came back with was about $888. The cost on average, with the numbers we can pull together, around $2,900 to $3,000 throughout the state for what people typically would get back in that cost recovery. So our rough numbers, we don't have great numbers back from OHA, but our rough numbers initially looking at that impact were about a 1.1 million decrease to EMS funds throughout the state of Oregon to fire service that provide EMS and participate in that program. We've been busy working with OHA to try to collaborate towards bridging the gap with that impact, as well as meeting with legislators and decision makers throughout the state at various levels. We had a good meeting yesterday with OHA, and they've come off of the 888 number and are going to take a lot of information that we've been able to provide, as well as some information on how other states run their programs, and they're going to go back to the actuarials, which is a team here in Oregon at OHA, and work with them to see if they can't come up closer to a number that meets the actual cost. We have several ideas that will probably be more long-term, but in the immediate, we're trying to find some ways to help bridge the gap of that sudden unexpected impact.
Do you expect improvement in how the program is managed and the service aspects of that in this process?
Expect in that we want that, yes. And we'll keep going down that path.
Any other questions on GMT funding update?
But thank you for your work on that.
Thank you, Chief Hanson. Next up, we have SCAO conference, February 6th through 9th at the River House in Bend, and I'm guessing Donna would like some head nods.
You don't have to do it tonight. Our only concern really is the lodging. That lodging goes up very fast. It's already.
That's what I was told yesterday.
But we can continue to work.
Or maybe the block is full. They might have rooms, but the block we had reserved for the event, I was told yesterday was full.
Point being is if anybody's interested, let us know. Let Donna know ASAP.
Good. I'll go.
Yeah. Because I do have one question.
Yep.
For those of you that may or may not have heard, Dale McKinney, who was a firefighter here at McMinnville for many, many, many years, passed away. His funeral has been set for January 4th, 2025 at 2 p.m. Across the street at 544 Northeast Second Street. The Fire District Chief Law has taken the lead. The honor guard has been requested, and Chief Law has been working with the family to facilitate their needs, wants, and desires. So, just information for the board, well, and the public for that matter.
January 4th at Macy's, at what time?
At Macy's, it's at the church.
Oh, the church.
544 Northeast Second at 2 p.m.
All right, anything else for good of the order?
On that, piggyback on that too, and I didn't know, but Chuck Goodell was a volunteer for several years, worked for Water and Light, did our decorations up until his retirement from Water and Light. He also passed away. We have not been requested to help with that service, but that is next Saturday, the 28th, Heritage Museum, I believe, 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't know the exact time. Again, it won't be a fire service one, but he is somebody that, I don't know if he's here regularly here. He is somebody that was involved many years ago.
Chief. Other than that, I just want to acknowledge everybody that put time into the holiday party and pulling that off, but great, good time with you all, and hopefully you all enjoy yourself. Secretary Pratt was there. Thank you for the invite. If there's nothing else, our next meeting will be Thursday, January 23rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. And I'll return tonight's meeting at 7:42 p.m.
Here.